Good evening, everyone. I think it has been still we are going through a very rough roller coaster ride for raw materials from quality side as well as the price side. So, strategies that are adopted during good times are going to save a lot of money. So, that is the background of this presentation, and there is no escape from this. We have to go through this, but we have to minimize our losses even in the event of crisis. So, with this objective, I will take up my slide. So, basically I am talking on the factors which are directly, raw material factors which are directly affecting the feed price. You can categorize them basically into quality factor, availability factor and the price factor. And the biggest mistake that we do is we forget about costly nutrients. Costly nutrients change every time. So, when the raw material price change, when maize changes, oil changes, the energy becomes a costly nutrient. When DCP changes, DCP becomes expensive, then the phosphorus becomes expensive nutrient. So, it changes, and other side of it, whenever you are formulating, the nutrient response in formulation also becomes costly. So, the nutrient become expensive. Quality factors, we have gone through this, like most of us know, the biggest contributing factor for feed price is analytical deviation. In subsequent slides, I am going to show you some of the real data which I have accumulated from my own sources, and I will show you the deviations that are existing in the raw material quality. Anti-nutritional factors, they are inherent, so there are processing methods which help you to get out of the anti-nutritional factors, and forced adulteration, which is very frequent these days, and especially last year and even today. So, soya, although it went up to 100 rupees and it has come down to 50 rupees or 45 rupees or whatever, even now the adulteration is going on. Producers, soybean meal producers, solvent extractors I can say, they take it for granted, 2.5% of sand and silica is granted for them. They forcibly adulterate it. You will be surprised when you visit your soybean meal extractors. They have a sand loads which are kept in there, procured specially for adulterating soya sands to take it up to 2.5%. So, the scapegoats are us, the industry. Seasonal variations, so I will talk about this in a couple of slides. Seasonally, like there is no seasonality left now. Like currently we are expecting, last year at this point of time Bihar corn was about 15 rupees. All companies used to stock at that rate. Today it is settled at 22 rupees ex Gulababad. So, there is no seasonal factor left. The quality factor of seasons is really horrible. I'll tell you about that, like off season challenges and the seasonal challenges. Seasonal challenges are very different and off seasonal challenges are very different. Geographical variations, professors already said about the corn variations across geographies. I will show you some data which is actual. The sample number is huge, about 800-900 samples data I am going to show you. Processing variations, yes, particularly the ingredients which are processed, the heat treated ingredients are specially undergoing these processing changes. Storage quality and quantity losses and quality issues of LSP and DCP. This is the latest one. LSP, adulteration of LSP with DCP is very rampant nowadays. Corn region wise variations, this is our own data. So, we are pan India company, we source corn from across the regions. So, sometimes Maharashtra gets a rake of corn from Bihar, and look at the variation. The protein percentage is varying almost 1.5% from one geography to another geography. And look at amino acid levels, all of them are varying to the tune of about 8 to 10% CV, you can say. And look at energy, energy is almost 150 kilocalories. So, that is huge. Today 150 kilocalories is a cost of about 1000 rupees, that is quite huge. And the most corn quality issue is the grain size. A kg of small grains and a kg of big grains will totally have a different energy levels. So, we should know that the corn grain size is the one, corn counts, I think normally feed quality control departments do corn counts at their feed mill level. So, feed mills should understand that the grain size is most important whenever you are buying corn, and the problem with low energies is because of the corn grain size. Beet and bone meal, most of us do not have laboratories, we blindly buy it, we buy it on the crude protein percentage. The real challenge is the amino acid deviation. Look at this data, ideal MBM rarely is available, it is 20 to 30%, the protein variation is though 3%, the amino acid variation still lies in 3% CV. Look at the market availability of meat and bone meal, which is 70 to 80% of beaten bone meal sample is having amino acid covariance of about 17%. This is average CV I am talking about. So that is very huge. And again, the MBM source, there are two kinds of people who are producing MBM. One is the manufacturer himself who processes, who slaughters animals, and the other one is who is buying byproducts from the slaughterhouse and then processing it into beaten bone meal. The thing is, there is a huge difference between these things, and we have done lot of analysis with this. The people who are having the slaughterhouse are fairly giving the better quality compared to people who source byproducts from the market. And the biggest issue with these two sources is pepsin digestibility. You know, I think most people don't have pepsin digestibility. I really, this is a matter of concern for small scale feed millers. They don't have testing facilities and they really suffer because of this. You know, the protein percentage is 50% and the pepsin digestibility is coming only 65-70%. This is a real challenge. And the physical challenges, color, texture, smell and lumps. In my experience, I have also got an MBM which is flavored, you know, when they are using some dead animals. So the MBM gives somewhat dirty odor. You know, to mask that, they are adding flavors. So adulteration has to gone to that extent. Again, particle size deviations, microbial contamination, calcium and phosphorus deviation. I will tell you, calcium is biggest culprit for our consumption drops. Most of us suffer from feed consumption drops. That's mostly because of calcium. Either it's because of MBM or it's because of LSP and DCP. So these three are the culprits which are contributing to calcium in our feed and it causes consumption drops. DCP quality issue. I have put two graphs here. This is again our own house data. A consistent DCP will have 18% calcium and 23%, 18% calcium and about 23% calcium and 18% phosphorus. This is an ideal DCP. What happened when the crisis happened? When the DCP prices shot up to about almost by 60-70%, even today it is settled at much higher price. Look at the deviation of calcium percentage and look at the good time MBM, good time DCP. So almost the calcium levels ranged from 8 to 10% to level of 23-24%. And you can imagine the people who are not testing calcium at their facilities, how they might have affected because of this calcium and indirectly affecting the feed consumption and the bird health issues. Again, the simple indicators for LSP, DCP adulteration is basically ash, and if you don't have anything, just check total ash and just check your bulk density. Bulk density and total ash will give clear indication of what is happening to your DCP quality. Rice DDS challenges, trust me, I think Evonik has published huge data. So in my own analysis is that we are getting a CV of about 35-40% protein variation. I am telling you, they sell it as rice DDGS, actually it is not rice DDGS. Why we are getting this variation? Because they are adulterating with all kind of cereals, you know, the all kind of waste materials like broken rice, bajra, pearl millet, jitna waste hota hai, matlab whatever waste material is there, that is all getting into rice DDGS and we are getting it as a fine pack of protein. So that's what is happening to us. And the challenge is, look at the lysine protein digestibility to the other side of my presentation, like the processing deviations. The lysine variation is from 0.87 to 0.39% and protein digestibility is varying from 77% to 46% and digestible lysine value 0.67 to 0.19%. This is the reality. And the problem for nutritionists, especially the people who are not having in-house nutritionists, is that they don't absorb these variations. They don't absorb these variations when an ingredient is having 43% of CV, and how are you going to absorb your nutrient variations in a one-page formulation? I love that statement, one-page formulation. Raw material processing variation. So this is another challenge. Lot of things happen there, like especially soybean meal. We treat soybean meal 50% as a premium soybean meal quality, right? So look at the difference. We normally, most people who are having laboratory test KOH, protein dispersibility and urease activity. So these days, I think the people are getting sophisticated and they are testing reactive lysine. A good quality soybean meal, a well processed soybean meal with 50% will have about 92 to 32 plus reactive lysine level. Whereas say the same 50% soybean meal, from the same supplier is having an under-processed, over-processed soybean meal is having about 83% reactive lysine. So why I am telling you is that even the premium ingredients, 50% normally we pay premium and buy from the market. So what is happening is that is also getting varied because of the reactive lysine levels. Seasonality, I just touched upon it. So seasonality, like nowadays seasonal factor doesn't remain for ingredients, ingredient prices, forget it. Quality side, yes. When there are harvesting challenges, especially poor harvesting conditions. I want to touch upon Bihar because I have personally seen Bihar market. I have done corn surveys in Bihar. So they dry it wildly. You go to around Muzaffarpur and Gulababad area, you can see people drying corn on the roads. Literally, we have drove our cars on the corn which is put on roads. So this is the condition. And one thing, whenever you are thinking to stock Bihar corn, think about perishability. The Bihar quality of corn is totally different and it is much more subjecting for perishability. So take care whenever you are storing Bihar corn, it is not that you apply the same parameters that you are adopting for south corn or the western part of corn. And uncertain supplies and hand-to-mouth situation. For whatever reason, plants come under hand-to-mouth situation, and probably because of financial crisis we can say we are not able to pay suppliers, the regular suppliers, we buy it from someone XYZ. So this is one thing which adds to your feed prices a lot. You don't know what's happening to your price. All of a sudden your feed mill is having 50 rupees soybean meal, suddenly your inventory is gone and you are buying 55 rupees soybean meal, and which is coming into formulation, the same formulation which is unchanged with the price and quality. So this is the problem. And major wrong decisions happen to choose between source of raw materials. Example, I will tell you, there are 3 categories of soybean meal is available, 46, 48 and 50%, right? So there is no standard trend of price difference between 46, 50 and 48%. The situation changes every time. So we do a mistake there, and few people have habit of forcing in MCP even if it is costing 95 to 100 rupees. It is not a silver bullet. MCP is not a silver bullet. Good quality DCP, good quality MBM, good quality MCP. You can choose anything among them because all of them are equally good phosphorus sources. Decide on your formulation on a daily basis. So you just decide how you address your phosphorus cost issues from the feed side by frequently formulating, and look at the cost. It changes every time. It doesn't remain same. And another biggest mistake feed millers do is they don't do formulations on inventories. So inventory formulation is very, very, very important because there are three inventories which are lying with the feed miller. One is the stock, the other one is the contract, and the other one is the one which is coming from market. And similarly 3 prices: stock price, contract price and the market price. So nowadays the advanced formulation techniques like multi-blending, so they absorb all the 3 costs and you can formulate very much from there. But unfortunately the one-page formulations don't consider these inventories. So whenever you are not considering inventory of your formulations, inventory price, inventory cost of your formulations into price into your formulations, you are gone. So you are already making big loss. I think this is a time every feed miller should think that I have to inventorize and I have to work my formulation based on inventories and decide what to buy from market based on my inventory formulations. Use market price. Suppose if you are not able to do formulations from the inventory side, I suggest you one thing. Have 2 sets of formulation, one set of formulation you do for inventories and the other set from the market prices, because market price is the one which dictates your raw material cost. So you are making your purchase decisions based on the raw materials on the market side. This I took from AVGen. So advanced formulation techniques have shadow pricing, wherein you can see the relative pricing between the ingredients. If soybean meal is costing this much, what should my rapeseed cost and what should my CGM cost? And the other one is parametrics. Parametrics is like every unit nutrient increase will cost you how much. So these are the people who are using advanced formulation technologies. The small scale feed millers who don't have facilities can run a simple Excel sheet, very simple Excel sheet, listing all your ingredients, listing critical nutrients, and manage this Excel sheet and know your unit nutrient cost every point of time. Like then you can decide, like suppose in this example you can say like maize at 18 rupees for 100 kilocalories it is costing 54 paisa, for 100 kilocalories. Broken rice it is 48. then you can see like where is your cost sitting for that ingredient, and you can decide what to buy or not. We have a lot of luxuries adding our feed additives. Probably I am the one who doesn't like additives. So synthetic amino acid, there are set of things which you can precisely touch upon. Synthetic amino acids, we have a habit of using them very widely. With the change of ingredients, the inclusion levels change. It's not that I put 5 kg amino acid at a very form, a standard 5 kg of methionine or standard 5 kg of lysine in my formulations, they change. And also identify your need. When you are selling for bulks for a wet market and when you are selling bulk for processing, your amino acid levels change. Like if you are focusing on bulks which are sold for wet market, so then you can think of only looking at 5 amino acids. When you are looking for formulations for processing chicken, so you can go up to leucine, isoleucine and valine levels. And one interesting data, last year we imported about 600 tons of arginine. Trust me, this is the biggest mistake. 600 tons of arginine which is not required in Indian feed, literally 103%. I can talk about lysine to arginine ratio is about 103%, and industry imported about 600 metric tons of arginine. That was the funniest thing ever happened in Indian industry. Like you can look at export data, arginine is there. I don't know who advised people to use arginine. Again, glycine and serine, I think these are the non-essential nutrients. People talk about glycine and serine and they push glycine and serine and they increase feed cost by 50 paisa or 1 rupee. That's funny, like when you are already using meat and bone meal, so why do you need glycine and serine? Okay, if you are a corn soya based diet, so then definitely you can think of glycine serine adjustment, but don't increase your feed cost just because glycine and serine is deficit. Scientifically it is proven that glycine and serine become deficit, but not necessary at this point of time when the industry is at peak of its production prices. So we have to take care that the glycine and serine should not cost feed. Use and misuse of amino acids, and we never monitor, I think amino acid companies are here, so we never look at price trends of amino acids. We never look at that. So trust me, a good inventory company will first focus on amino acids. That is a big cost for your feed. So look at amino acid price trends and so also vitamin price trends and stock up at the right time. So that will help you a lot, because I think when market is selling methionine at 400, 450 rupees, probably most of the big companies who have capacity to import, they might be using at 200, 190 rupees. That is the reality. You can check. And the small scale feed millers, this is a big burden. Big scale feed millers, they somehow cruise through this cycle. Inadvertent of use of feed additives, I think maybe 20, 30 feed additives are there, so which are unnecessarily used. We can talk a whole day on this. And safe and risky reformulations. Nowadays, it has become a habit to reformulate with every feed additive. Enzyme company will come, phytase company will come, emulsifier will come, and when you are reformulating, you are screwed up like like you are losing almost about 400, 500 kilocalories up, which is an unknown feed additive. I think most of us don't have research facility wherein we can test our energy levels, right? So be careful and know your risks of formulation, especially reformulating, which is not as simple as like somebody comes and advises you reformulate for 3% lysine or 100 kilocalories energy. Carefully think whatever you are doing is right. Misuse of oils. This is another topic. Today oil prices have skyrocketed by about 40-50% and people still use 3%, 4% oil. It is no more needed whenever you are frequently formulating. So your energy levels really did not be met by oil at that price, 150 rupees, 145 rupees oil price. And are we overfeeding energy? Professor touched about it. COB North America latest publication 2022, they have clearly reduced energy and a lot of research has happened. Even myself personally have experimented with low energy diets from about 3 years back. That was the beginning of that time and we are successfully implementing the low energy diets. Only thing is, whenever you are formulating low energy diets, look at the season. Summer can be a challenge when you are reducing 100 kilocalories, but rest of the season you can definitely cruise through. Alternate strategies for reducing oil. We use oil for purposes, Why we use oil? Oil as an energy source. For that, the best option is go source energy rich ingredient, SBM 50%, rice DDGS or whatever is there. And essential fatty acid, we think that oils will give me essential fatty acid. That's wrong. You can as much meet the essential fatty acids of your feed with ingredients. There are good ingredients which can be talked about to meet the essential acid requirement. Process efficiency, it's foolishness if you are forcing in 2%, 3% oil just to improve your pellet mill output. That's unfair. And you can very much improve your process efficiency by emulsifier, and vitamin solubility again, and vitamin digestibility also can be achieved by using fat rich ingredients. Lot of things about alternate ingredients handling. Feed millers require committed capital and human resources. You need to have a proper testing facility. I always worry again about the small feed millers because they do not have testing facilities and still want to use alternate ingredients. This is a high time, have a collaborated kind of small scale feed millers network of laboratories, or a small laboratory, central laboratory, wherein small feed millers can work together and test their samples there. And human resources, yes, for qualified staff is required. Material receiving side and the feed production side, if you increase number of ingredients in processing, so you will increase the timing of batch. So that will consume your time. Pellet mill efficiency, I will talk about it in one slide. So pellet mill efficiency will definitely reduce whenever you are using alternate. The response of pellet mill varies with each ingredient. Storage management. Storage can be in silos, or storage can be in stack piling, or storage can be in bulk storage. The people who are close to port, they can store in bulk storage also. The biggest problem with silos is, I will tell you, aeration and fan running. So many people think that aeration will dry corns, that is not so. Aeration is to reduce hot spots in silos, that is basic. And running of fans will not solve all your problems. Running of fans, you should be aware when you have to run fans. When the climate is humid, do not run your fans. When it is downpouring, do not run your fans, because it will increase your moisture in ingredient. And aeration is done to reduce hot spots in silos. And similarly, the ventilation of your like the stack pile samples is very much important. At least you can decide in your feed mill like which ingredients need to be stacked in pellets, wooden pellets or steel pellets, or which ingredients need to be stacked in these bulk stack kind of things. The response of processing side to the feed mill, we can talk again on this. So MBM particle size, which influences which eats up your dye basically. When the bone particles come big in MBM, so it eats up your dye. High and low fat raw material, especially rice polish, when you are increasing beyond certain levels, so it will reduce your pellet mill efficiency. Wheat I want to talk about. I think it's time now people are using wheat a lot. Make a coarse grinding whenever you are using wheat, because 750 microns of GMD, 750 microns of wheat grinding is grinding of maize is not sufficient for wheat. You can take it up to 1000 microns. You can very easily pellet, because it will cause problem. Otherwise, wheat will cause problem if you are not grinding it coarse. Corn size, again small grains, you need to adjust the sieves of your hammer mill. Color variations, our bulbs don't know colors. If you are selling feed, you always want yellow color, but that's foolishness to look at color. But there are some processing issues whenever you are using alternate ingredient that cause color discoloration of the feed, which you are worried about. That's basically because of Maillard reaction. And seasonal variations in summer. So nowadays the basic thing is like, it's high time. Trust me one thing, like industry doesn't have the equipment industry doesn't have a specially designed coolers for India. So it's high time that we should have specially designed coolers. I think the feed millers should work closely with the equipment manufacturers to have a better designed coolers. The PLC, smart humidity and temperature control of ambient air with VFD is very important. You need to have this for better efficiency, because you need to control the ambient air quality. This is a solution slide. The absorbing analytical deviations, that's the biggest challenge, but somehow you have to find ways and means to absorb analytical deviations. Judicious use of feed additives. Don't irresponsibly use feed additives because they are a cost. Formalizing purchase decisions. I said the inventory based formulations, you need to formulate based on inventories. Reformulation with substrate specific enzymes. Know your substrate in feed formulations and then decide what ingredients you should use. And low protein diets, yes, I am using it from years. So they definitely work. Low protein diets is the future. Don't be under assumption that 23% protein is minimum for pre-starter, that age is gone. So better you shift to low protein diets. And whenever you are using alternate ingredients, you decide on optimum inclusion, maximum inclusion. Optimum inclusion is biological performance, you know. I don't want to increase my rapeseed meal to 4%. Why? Because I am scared. I want the best FCRs. Then restrict yourself to 1.2%. Whereas when you are targeting economic performance, I think today's scenario demands that your cost of production needs to be at the lowest point. So the maximum inclusion need to be considered for economical performance. Like you can stretch your limit of alternate ingredients based on the recommendations of your nutritionist. Processing side, I talked about it. This is the need of the day, integrated purchase by small scale feed millers and integrated laboratories like 5-6 small feed millers. Associate yourself and invest in some laboratories where you can have control on the supplier side, because when the raw material price is high, you are getting maximum cheated, not the people who are having facilities. So think about that. And inventory based purchase decisions, if you are not doing it, better change today. If you are not doing inventory based formulations, better change today, and you will see the difference within 10-15 days, and that will change your purchase decisions, you know. And dynamic formulations, yes, I think as dynamic as you are in formulation, that's better, because I have seen formulations which are kept for 3 months, 6 months period irrespective of the raw material price changes. And aligning supplier community, so that's $1 million question. We will not be able to do it because we ourselves are not testing properly. So how can we align ourselves to suppliers? You know, suppliers are not aligned to us. So ideally, my advice is bring suppliers to our level, educate them. That's the need of the day. With this, I end my session, talk. Thank you so much, Professor Devegowda and IVPI Bangalore for calling me to talk on this. Thank you so much.